It was a stunning and heartbreaking holidays. 3 immediate family members, all community pillars, died of COVID in a span of 17 days. The pain of their deaths is still being suffered, but the impact of their lives is also being celebrated. They included a quiet Johnson City community leader, a longtime Kingsport vice mayor, and a basketball icon who poured his time and passion into free basketball camps for kids.
People like Miss Bobby, they weren't concerned about a name. It was just that they loved their community and they loved to see people grow and thrive, and they were willing to do what they could do.
He was a politician, there's no doubt about that. But Richard had the ability to say the right thing at the right time.
The look you saw on kids' face when they got around him, that's just something that I wanted to be and something I wanted to emulate and portray.
Bobby and Richard Watterson both tested positive for COVID within a week of Thanksgiving. Bobby's son Charles Buzzy Love and another brother Keith contracted it later in the month, probably, their sister Elizabeth Murphy said, while caring for Richard, their stepfather.
We just thought we were being safe to the degree that it would not affect our family. Unfortunately, it did.
A healthy 90-year-old whose mother lived to be 103, Bobby Watterson improved before taking a turn for the worse, Murphy said. She died December 22nd.
I thought, oh, she'll beat this. I mean, she's a trooper. She's strong. She always bounces back.
Her husband of 26 years, Richard, died January 4th. Buzzy and Keith Love cared for their stepfather before he entered the hospital. Both got COVID and shared a suite at the VA hospital, and Buzzy, a healthy 71-year-old, died January 8th.
You know, when Keith got to leave, Buzzy was like, okay, I'm gonna be out soon. Only God knows what happened. I don't know what happened. I know he didn't give up.
Still reeling from the shock of the elder two are 9 surviving children who had knitted into a blended family after their beloved parents wed somewhat late in life.
She loved him a lot, and they were good buddies. They were friends. She'd start fussing, and then he'd get her riled up, and then he'd go, "Now, what did you tell me to do?"
Former Kingsport Mayor Hunter Wright served with Watterson for more than 12 of Watterson's record 24 years on Kingsport's board of mayor and aldermen. They remained friends, and he remembers a charismatic but effective politician.
You couldn't help but like Richard. I don't think you wanted to cross Richard, because then he could pinpoint some things that would put you on the defensive pretty fast. But that was one of his assets.
Langston Center Director Adam Dixon remembers Bobby Watterson similarly. At one meeting, she steered a group from inviting a speaker many of them wanted.
Without saying a word, and still keeping her composure and her smile and her loving way, she made it abundantly clear she was not in favor of that particular character. So there's something to be said about that quiet strength, but also that maternal quality as well.
My mom was like the community mother. It didn't matter, where you were in the scheme of things on this earth. If you were a child of God, and my mother would reach out to you.
The apple fell near the tree in Buzzy Love. Science Hill alum, former pro, and Providence High basketball coach Damon Johnson said.
A lot of people fell in love with the game through Buzzy Love's camps. A lot of people knew how to play or knew how to work out through Buzzy Love's camps. For me, he was a pivotal piece to our community, and it's going to be well missed. Well missed.
He just lost his wife back in March of 2020, so he was having a hard time. They'd been married almost 50 years.
Murphy said the pain of more than a dozen children and dozens of grandchildren affected by the deaths is still raw. Both the men who died were veterans, and she described the pandemic in military terms.
I feel like we are in the midst of a war. And the casualties of war are the ones that are left behind.
She said God and her sons, who were very close to their grandmother, are keeping her grounded.
They have a really good perspective on it, and I'm grateful that they do. I thought I did, and then when it happened to my mother and my brother and my daddy, it kind of threw me for a loop.
Murphy said her mother was ready in the end and that she and some of her brothers were there.
She always made sure that we understood it. This is part of living. And even though it is part of living, it doesn't make the pain feel any easier or better. Just don't.
But Murphy knows what her mother's advice to anyone would be.
Live life. Don't wait and say, oh, I'm going to do this tomorrow. You do it now. If it's at all possible, do it now.
In Johnson City, Jeff Keeling, News Channel 11.